What's up, everyone? Has anyone heard the phrase, I'm sure you have, when it rains, it pours? I was just thinking, I'm looking outside and it's a pretty rainy and gloomy day today, but we've all experienced those types of things in our lives where we feel like it's just this snowball effect where things just keep compounding upon the other, and everywhere we turn, just bad stuff is happening, right? We just experienced that a couple years ago when COVID-19 hit the United States and the world, and we had to shut down. We had, businesses were considered not essential, and so people had to go home and wouldn't be able to work. And so there's a lot of people that weren't be able to pay their bills, and they got behind on their credit cards, and their credit scores were dropping, and so on and so forth. We all have experienced that type of thing in our lives. And so I was reminded today when I was looking outside and was thinking about when it rains, it pours. I was thinking about a client that had come to me a few years ago, and they reached out to me. They were in desperation. They had me pull their credit. They told me from the jump, they said, our credit is not good at all. Our credit score, we believe, is somewhere in the high fours, low fives, somewhere in there. And so I started to ask questions like, what are some of the troubling issues on your credit? Do you have late payments? Do you have collections? And they said all the above. We have a little bit of everything. And they just said, you know what, we've reached out to a couple banks, a couple lenders, and we're just not getting any clear direction. They let us know that we don't qualify, and they tell us what score we need to get to, but they're not giving us any education on what we need to do to get there. And so I took them under my wing, as I do every client, and I gave them some pointers. I told them exactly the things they needed to focus on and pinpoint, and start taking care of collections, start adding good positive trade lines to their credit. All the different suggestions. And what I send folks a breakdown in a PDF, as well as some hyperlinks into different credit card companies that I recommend, and start the journey, right? I don't do credit repair personally. I'm not a credit repair specialist where I actually do the credit repair for the clients, but I give them guidance, I give them instruction, I give them directions. And I do this for everyone that doesn't have credit in order to qualify for a home loan today. So when somebody comes to me and they say, hey, I'm looking and interested in buying a home, we pull their credit, they're out of reach. I go through the steps. I tell them what they need to do. And so I did this for this client. But guys, at the end of the day, I can't do the work for you, right? I told those clients, I said, you have to take action. I can give you all the education, all the information, but if you don't do these things, if you don't implement the things that I'm suggesting, your credit will go nowhere. You will be in the exact same spot next year that you are today, right? A lot of people think that that's how credit works. Like, if I just ignore it, it'll go away. If I just stick my head in the sand, it'll go away. My credit will just naturally, progressively get better. And that's not the way it works. Now, I'm not going to get into a video exactly why that is and all that, but the point is that you have to be proactive, right? You have to be aware, as we talked about in my last video. You've got to be aware of where you're at, and you got to know where you're going and the steps to get there, right? If you're going on vacation somewhere, first of all, you got to decide, what is the destination? Where do I want to go? And then you've got to map out how to get there. If you're going to drive or you're going to fly or whatever, you can't just methodically go through life and go, okay, I don't really know where I'm going. You've got to decide, where am I going? And then what are the steps to get me there? And it's no different in credit. So they took action. They did the necessary things to get their credit score where they needed to be. And we had talked through the process. I gave them some guidance. I've got them on a drip campaign where I'm reminding them and encouraging them and all of that kind of stuff. And literally about a year and 2 months, somewhere in there, they got back with me and they said, Robert, we did exactly everything you told us to do, and our credit score is now 640, whatever they thought it was. And so we pulled their credit, and sure enough, their credit was above where it needed to be. We got them into a loan program, actually 0 down, and they were ecstatic. They hugged my neck at closing. They got overly excited about the fact that a year ago, they couldn't even buy a house. A year ago, they were in desperation. The rain was falling, and it just kept falling in their lives. And they felt like every 2 steps they would take forward, they would have to take 3 steps back. And so they finally were able to take control of their lives, their credit, because they got educated. And not just that, because it's not just about education and knowledge, but it's about taking action, and they did that. And so, guys, I want you to encourage you, to let you know there's not a circumstance right now that you're in that cannot be overcome. There's not a credit status. Your credit score could be a 350, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all where your starting point is, it's where you're going to finish, and we can help you get there.